This semester, we are going to analyze a question together, which is, how do societies behave? Why do we do what we do? What motivates us? What drives us? And there have been different theories as to what drives human behavior. Okay, so let's go over some theories. The first theory comes to us from religion. And the idea is that we are all driven in a war between good and evil. There's a good side to us and there is an evil side to us. There's Satan and there's God. And we are constantly in a battle in ourselves. Okay? Do we move towards Satan or do we move towards God? And that's the core of human civilization. So religion is meant to give us the strength to show us the path towards goodness. Okay? That's one theory. Another theory comes to us from biology. Okay? And the idea is sex. We want to pass on our genes forward because that's the point of our existence. If we cannot have children, we all will die. So the point of our existence is to have children and have them pass on their genes to others, okay? And for males and females, life is different because as a man, you have a penis. And all you have to do is stick your penis into a woman and you're good, okay? That's all you have to do. So you want to stick your penis in as many women as possible. And that's the point of your existence. But as a woman, your life is different because it's hard to give birth. It takes 9 months to incubate the child in your womb. And then childbirth is the most painful experience anyone will ever experience. And then the child, it'll take like 16, 18 years to raise a child to maturity. So it's a huge investment on your part. So as a female, you have to be very cautious, very careful about who you marry or who you have sex with, okay? And so life is a struggle between men who want to put their penis into anything and women who want to be careful about who they marry, okay? So that's the idea of biology. Then of course you have the idea of race and culture. That the world is a struggle between these different races and cultures for dominance. And each race, each culture has their own characteristics. Okay, so maybe the yellow race, they're very clever, but they're very weak. And then the white race are brave, but kind of stupid. And the black people, anyway, that's another theory. I'm not saying it's correct, I'm just saying it's a theory that people believe in. Then you have economics, right? And what they believe is that we are driven by money or self-interest. We want to make as much money as possible, and that's what drives us. Okay? That's pretty simple. And the last big theory is the idea of liberalism. That comes from the Enlightenment. And here the theory is that history is a progress towards enlightenment, to rationality, to truth and to justice. So the inevitability of history, of human development, is towards paradise, towards heaven. And maybe, we go off track now and then, but inevitably, we move towards God. Okay, and this comes to us from the Enlightenment. We call this liberalism. Okay, so these are 5 theories. There are others, but these are 5 theories that show you the diversity, the variety of ideas out there. What I will do this semester is present to you another theory which I call game theory. And my argument to you is that game theory is the best way to understand how humans behave. What drives nations, what drives societies, what drives humans, okay? So that's my argument to you this semester. So the entire semester, we will study game theory. All right, so what is game theory? All right, game theory is very simple. The idea is that there are three components to a game, just three aspects to a game. There are the players, the participants, okay? Then there are the rules or the constraints. In mathematics, we would call this the boundary conditions, okay? The limits to the game. And the third aspect are the incentives. Basically, how do you win this game? What do you get from this game? And my argument to you this semester is that if you study all three, okay? If you figure out who the players are, if you understand the rules, if you understand the incentives, then you understand how the game works, and then therefore you can predict how the game will turn out. Okay, that's the skill that I want to teach you this semester. And what I want to show you, or what I promise you, is that if you learn game theory, there'll be three major benefits to you as a student. Again, you don't have to learn game theory. You don't have to come to class. But if you spend the effort to learn game theory from me, then three things will benefit you, okay? The first benefit is that you become a better person. The point of education, guys, it's not to get good grades or get into university or get a good job. What I believe is the point of education is to make you into a better person, which means that you are a much more thoughtful person who can better analyze yourself and the world around you. This allows you to make better decisions. This makes you a much more curious, much more moral, and much more imaginative person, okay? So one benefit of learning game theory is you become smarter, and therefore you become a better person, okay? That's number one. Number two is you'll be able to understand the world that we live in, because this world is kind of stupid, okay? So you may have heard that Donald Trump and the American military went into Venezuela for no good reason, kidnapped a president of Venezuela, which is against international law, and then brought him back to New York City where he will stand trial. It's really stupid what happened. But our class, it's not meant to say this is stupid or this is wrong, because we all know it's stupid and wrong. We're trying to figure out why this happened and what this will lead to. And so we will be in this class studying and analyzing current events to understand how the world really works, why people behave the way they do, and understand how the game of the world works. And this requires you to actually follow the news, okay? It's not hard to spend 5 minutes and just read up on the news. But we'll be looking at the war in Ukraine. We'll be looking at a new war between Israel and Iran. We'll be looking at what's happening in South America. We'll be looking at the conflict between China and Japan. We'll be looking at the relationship between the United States and China, okay? So this is relevant to your lives because you will eventually have to work and live in this really screwed up world that we live in, okay? And the third benefit is once you understand the game, you will have predictive powers. You'll be able to understand how the world will develop. You'll be able to analyze your own life and understand how you will develop. And that gives you control, sovereignty over your own destiny. Okay? That's my promise to you. If you actually spend the time to listen carefully in class, to participate fully, to follow the news, and you spend the entire semester doing so, then these 3 benefits will start to accrue in you.